Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video we're going to be talking about how to get the best out of just 10 minutes of piano practice. Firstly, I'm going to give you some general tips on how to be efficient with your practice, and then I'm going to give you a full 10-minute practice routine template. So if you are limited for time or just want to make the most out of your practice, then stick around to the end. So my first general tip is to plan your practice. This happens far less than it should. Most people do not plan their practice. I think a lot of the time people have a general idea about what they're supposed to be practicing, or they've got things set by a teacher, but what I would recommend is having a list of things that you need to practice that you have set. This is important because it makes you become more self-sufficient, but it will also make you more efficient because things will crop up between lessons that you need to write down to fix that your teacher doesn't know about yet. My second tip is don't play anything through. Now, of course, if you are finishing the piece and adding the details and you've got a performance coming up, then of course practice it through. However, for most of the time, when you're playing something through, you're wasting a lot of time playing bits that you can already play. You need to get straight into the things that you know are problems. And tip number 3 is play slowly and overly musical. Now, by overly musical, what I mean is exaggerate everything, make the melodies really clear, make it sound like it's singing. What this does is builds confidence with the sound, and that will enable you to dig deeper into the problems within the piece. Okay, so into the routine. For a 10-minute practice, we're going to use a rule of 2. 2 scales for 2 minutes, 2 lines of sight reading for 2 minutes, and 2 problems within pieces or songs no longer than 2 bars. Okay, so let's break this down. So firstly, 2 scales. What I would recommend doing is breaking this into 30 seconds and 1 minute and 30 seconds. The first 30 seconds, I would focus on a scale that you feel pretty comfortable with, just to get your fingers warmed up. I would still play this very slowly and very musically, especially as it's the first thing that you're playing within this practice session. Sometimes if you start by making a lot of mistakes, then you can get yourself in the mindset that you are just having a bad day. So the best thing to do is start with a scale that you can play and play it very slowly to give yourself the best chance of doing it correctly. For the remaining 1 minute and 30 seconds, I would focus on a scale that needs work. You need to concentrate on getting the fingers correct and don't let yourself get away with it. If the scale is new to you, then I would recommend using the 1-2-1 method. In this method, you play the first 2 notes of a scale and then go back down again, and when that's confident, you play the first 3 notes of a scale, and then so on and so on. This will help you practice going up the scale and down the scale, and because you're adding 1 new note each time you feel comfortable with it, you are streamlining your focus. So once you've done your 2 minutes of scales, then move on to 2 minutes of sight reading. You only need to do 1 sight reading exercises per 10-minute practice, but that sight reading should be approximately 2 lines long or 8 bars. So once again, I would break this down into 30 seconds and 1 minute 30 seconds. In the first 30 seconds, I wouldn't play anything, I would concentrate on reading it, which is the key signature, the time signature, any details in the piece, performance markings, dynamics, those kind of things. All you need to do in this 30 seconds is just observe them and try and take in as much as you can and get an idea about the character of the piece. In the remaining 1 minute and 30 seconds, you should just have a go at playing it. The main focus here should be rhythm and keeping a pulse. So if you are someone that finds it hard to keep pulse, then I would recommend using a metronome. I will be doing a separate video on sight reading, so be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss that. Now we are 4 minutes into the practice session, we have 6 minutes left. The next thing to do is focus on 2 problems no more than 2 bars long. This can be in the same piece, it can be in different pieces, it can be a rhythmic issue, a reading issue, it can be a technical issue. In my last video on motivation, I talked about setting yourself a long list of small goals, and this is where this will come in handy. So I would spend 3 minutes on each problem. It shouldn't take you more than that if you are really focused on the problem. If after those 3 minutes you think that this problem is still not fixed, then add it back onto the end of the list. It will have definitely improved just by having a little bit of time spent on it. This method should work should it be in grades and classical music or in any other style of music. You can still practice all these methods. Chord charts, if you're interested in that kind of thing, can replace sight reading, and scales can be replaced with modes or blues scales or anything like that. Of course, if you have longer than 10 minutes, then you can do 3 problems or 4 problems, or you can do more scales, or you can do more sight reading. That's absolutely fine. And if you have 5 minutes, then you can do 1 of each. But this is just a general idea, and obviously this is not the only way to practice. But if you are someone that's struggling with time efficiency in your practice and you don't feel like you're progressing as fast, then the best thing to do is set yourself up a routine. If you have a good quick piano routine, or you are struggling with your time in practice, then leave me a comment. And if you found this video useful, remember to hit the like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.